Hey folks, this is Gabe at Security.org, and today I want to talk to you about PureVPN. Now, PureVPN kind of puts itself out there as this massive VPN with lots of service locations and 10 simultaneous logins so you can take care of your whole family. So let's see how PureVPN performed for me. Now remember, if you have questions about VPNs, we're always adding to what we've put out there in terms of VPN explainer videos, just kind of giving you some context for what we're talking about today. But let's go ahead and dive in to PureVPN. So to give you a roadmap of today, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some pros and cons right off the bat to give you an idea of what we liked and didn't like about our experience with PureVPN. Then I'm going to talk about the background in terms of its servers, locations, protocols, encryption, and just what they've got going on. Then I want to jump into its just core feature set. What does it bring to the table that we've come to expect from VPNs before diving into some testing of the not only mobile application experience, but just like the DNS leaks, the WebRTC leaks, the speed tests, things of that nature. Then I'll recap it and give you an idea of what my experience was like using PureVPN. Now, the first pro I want to dive into with PureVPN is the fact that they really revamped their privacy elements and they have much better logging policies than they did before after a bit of an indiscretion that caught a bit of news. So they really revamped that and it's looking a lot better. The second thing it has is usually 10 simultaneous connections. So a big deal with anything related to VPNs is they typically max you out at 5 connections. So, I can have 5 different devices connected to the internet. But with this one, right off the bat, they're saying, hey, you know what? You can get your mama, your daddy, your cousin, Earl and them, everybody get a connection with PureVPN. Now, when it comes to cons, I have to state that while they have so many different servers, so many different locations and countries, they may have put a little bit too much dip on their chip because not all of those servers really connect. So you're not actually getting the experience that they purport to have on their website. Additionally, the mobile application experience is not the most intuitive, and you'll see that reflected in the scores that mobile application gets in both the Google Play and Apple App Store. PureVPN is headquartered in Hong Kong and was founded in 2006. So it's one of the older VPNs out on the market. Now, Hong Kong is an interesting case for a number of reasons that we don't have to go into all of those right now, but I can tell you that they're not part of the traditional Western surveillance alliances like Five Eyes or Nine Eyes or 14 Eyes. Talking about logging with PureVPN, the issue is that they got into some hot water in the past because they were subpoenaed by the FBI and they presented this evidence essentially of when someone was using PureVPN. If I understood the case correctly, I looked at it, and that essentially, helped in prosecution of an individual. So since then, they've actually revamped their logging policies so that they won't even have that to give to the FBI. Because frankly, if the government comes to you and says, hey, this is what you got to give up, everyone basically complies. That's just what government is. That being said, I do like the direction they've gone in with these new privacy policies where they just don't even have that type of information. When it comes to encryption, they're doing the right thing. They got the AES 256-bit encryption standard. We love to see it. Now, when it comes to protocols, you're going to go with the classic OpenVPN, that UDP, that TCP, that you and me, things that we're used to. But unfortunately, don't have WireGuard yet. So we would love to see WireGuard with PureVPN because, they do offer a lot of other stuff in terms of servers and locations and countries, though we'll get into that in a moment. When it comes to all these servers that PureVPN purports to have, it's a lot. We're talking 6,500. That puts them basically second behind, I think, CyberGhost in terms of the number of servers available, 140 plus countries. That's a lot of countries. That's a lot of countries. And they have, 180 locations, really bringing the heat. Unfortunately, they don't have as many as they purport to have. I would say they probably juiced it a bit, as probably most of the VPN companies do, but it was definitely something I noticed a bit with PureVPN. Now with PureVPN, split tunneling is possible on some devices. For example, Windows devices, Android devices, but not necessarily on Mac and iOS. So keep that in mind. Now, the final core feature is the ability to use streaming services with PureVPN. And I'll state that PureVPN is not the best that we've seen for streaming services, but definitely the two most popular streaming services in the United States have worked for us with PureVPN. Now, you'll want to go to our website, of course, to see exactly how it breaks down, but you do have the ability to use some streaming services with your PureVPN account. So now let's just go ahead and put this device to the test. Now, first we have to just make sure it's not leaking, because if it's leaking, that really takes away the whole reason for using a VPN in the first place. So we conducted some DNS leak tests and we conducted some WebRTC leak tests, because we've been hearing a few things around the web that, PureVPN was having some leaks. In our experience, that did not happen. Definitely be sure to test it for yourself, but we didn't have that experience when looking at PureVPN. And now let's go ahead and dive into the speed test. All right, so let's jump into this exciting element that we call the speed test. Now, with PureVPN, I was actually really pleasantly surprised with what we got in speed test. So I'm gonna go over a few of the tests just to give you an idea of how well they performed, but we have to begin with that baseline. So this was actually upstairs in my apartment. I was able to get 254 megabits per second download speed, which was pretty quick, and 192 megabits per second upload speed. So that's essentially how well it was doing without any VPN when I tested PureVPN. Now, typically when I do any VPN, I also like to do New York City, but New York City through the VPN. In this case, it kept routing me, it looked like, to Buffalo. So I decided to do New Jersey instead. And when I did New Jersey, it was Secaucus, I got 69 megabits per second download and 165 upload. Now remember, as we always say, you gotta take these numbers with a bit of a grain of salt, because there's a lot of reasons why it could be different from one space to the next. Me, for example, I get much faster speeds upstairs in my apartment than I do downstairs. So that's just one thing, one factor that kind of plays in here. So that's what I was getting from New Jersey. I also tested Santiago, Chile, and there I got 140 download and 99.9, which I thought was really fun, upload speed. So that was Santiago, Chile. That's our South America test for PureVPN. I really wanted to test an Asian nation with PureVPN, so I went with South Korea. I visited twice, love it. And I got 150 megabits per second download speed and 50 megabits per second upload speed. So kind of a big gap there, but still not too bad considering I'm actually here in Brooklyn, New York. So that was South Korea with PureVPN. Now I decided to do Europe, and I got 231 megabits per second download speed with PureVPN, which is really impressive, and 89.9 megabits per second upload speed. So that's what I was getting with PureVPN. Seriously, mighty impressive speeds we were getting through Germany with PureVPN. So here I am checking out PureVPN. Once again, the speed test was really impressive. So what about the rest of the mobile app? Well, it's really easy just to jump into any space. So if I want to go to Brussels, which physically you're going to do, just hit it and I'm connected. You got that nice green, obvious button saying that you are connected, gives you a little bit of connection details, asks you how the connection is going in terms of the quality. So pretty straightforward. Now if I go in the upper right-hand corner, I can tap on the locations and you get different location spots. I have a few favorites picked, Italy, Nigeria, Ireland, all useful spots to want to go to. And if you go in the upper left-hand corner, you can also access locations from that side. But there's not a lot happening in PureVPN, pretty pure mobile application. So I'm happy with it. Again, I was really impressed with the speeds that I got out of it. And I just love that they're not really, obfuscating anything. It's just pretty straightforward. You tap in, you tap out. So if I want to trade, and not go, let's say I want to go to my favorites, go to Ireland, it says, are you sure you want to disconnect and switch to another location? Yes, and voila, here I am. I'm ready to go. and I'm not worried about anything. I can go surf the net, do whatever, and I'm going to be in Ireland. So overall, love the simple, connected or disconnected. Do you want to switch, not switch? Show me my IP address app, and really nice interface. We're ready to go with PureVPN. So that's our look at PureVPN. Very, brief walkthrough, because frankly, there's just not a lot happening, but you get a lot on that opening page. And I personally like the way they set it up. Now let me give you my final thoughts on PureVPN, and I would say that it does not have all the bells and whistles that we've come to expect from some of the top tier VPNs, but it's still a pretty solid choice, especially if you are predominantly using Windows and Android devices, because that's where you're going to get the full capacity of PureVPN in terms of split tunneling. So you can use some streaming services, you can use a pretty fast server in a lot of different places around the world. Don't have any issues in that sense, and they have revamped their privacy logs. So you really have an upward trajectory for PureVPN, and you can be certain that it's going to work on the way that we've come to expect our general basic VPNs to work. All right, so thanks for looking at our review of PureVPN. Now, if you appreciated today's video, give us a like, maybe leave us a comment. Hey, subscribe to our channel, Security.org. We're bringing you the newest in digital and physical security each week. That's our passion, that's our pleasure. My name is Gabe, this is Security.org. Be secure.